hold on, no. We have more time because yesterday was the 30th.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Forces on the on.
I just gotta
PD.
open it
Administration.
down.
I think it should be PD, right?
Okay. I now call the December 1st, 2020 Finance Committee meeting to order at 6:45. Consideration of claims. Chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the claims.
Your Honor, I would make a motion for the consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $836,110.92, manual checks in the amount of $87.63, payroll and liabilities for 11/20 of 2020 and 11/23/2020 in the amount of $453,759.23, for a total of $1,289,957.78.
Second.
Thank you. Any amendments or discussion on the claims?
I have none.
None.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Is there anything additional that the committee needs to review or discuss?
We have none, Your Honor.
Yeah, no. In that case, meeting adjourned at 6:47. No, you're fine.
I really have to come by in my world these days, so I'm gonna take one I can.
Ernie, I hardly recognize you. You're so bundled up.
What's that?
I hardly recognized you. You're so bundled up.
Oh, yeah. You can get a
Awful.
Kristen.
It's very slick.
Oh. Pack.
Yeah. Come around the corner. Woo, that was fun.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to slow down a little.
No, I mean, I can't.
What,
I'm not
was it
seeing it.
you ever had a microwave?
Yeah, in the front.
So was it equal to that?
No.
Really?
No.
That's bad.
Yeah, they had a wreck.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Normally the people that get microwaves,
I don't have it.
there's primers, cursors, forerunners, and then they can take medication and,
As soon as they send some
yeah. It's almost like
Did you forget about me?
Yeah, it came and went real quick.
I now call the December 1, 2020 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Councilman Roeder will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilman Larson will give us the invocation.
Our eternal Heavenly Father, we are thankful for this opportunity to meet as a council, to serve and to help the city of Riverton. Father, we're thankful for the presence of moisture that we so dearly need. Thankful for the opportunity to seek thy counsel in doing what is best. Father, we had asked that thou would watch over and bless us, that we might have thy insight to give us guidance, and we ask this humbly in the name of thy Son, even Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Would the city clerk please conduct a roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilwoman Rebecca Schatza.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilman Corey Rhoda.
Here.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Here. I declare the quorum is present. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the consideration for the car rental lease at the Central Wyoming Regional Airport after agenda item number 8.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. Any discussion from the council? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Communication from the floor. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is scheduled for the public hearing will be given the opportunity to speak during that public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council on any other item may speak now. We would ask that the individuals that address the city council at this time approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Seeing none, would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, November 17, 2020, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, December 1st, 2020, Finance Committee meeting. Approval of the Finance Committee recommendations for December 1st, 2020.
Thank you. Are there any items for further discussion?
Your Honor, the Finance Committee met earlier this evening and agreed to consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $836,110.92, manual check in the amount of $87.63, payroll and liabilities for 11/20/20 and 11/23/2020 in the amount of $453,759.23, for a total of $1,289,957.78.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Schatza has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. Council discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of the rental car lease at the Central Wyoming Regional Airport. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you for this late addition to the agenda. Hertz Rent-A-Car informed staff on November 20th that they would be vacating the terminal and terminating its lease yesterday, November 30th, 2020. After receiving this notice, Priceless Rent-A-Car expressed interest in filling the void left by Hertz Rent-A-Car at the terminal. They currently provide ground transportation services to our community and have an office in town. However, it would now like to establish a fixed presence at the terminal and provide more immediate service to patrons at the airport. Staff has worked in quick order with Priceless, and we appreciate, well, and let me back up. The legal entity is For a Road Forward LLC. So we're grateful for their cooperation and their ability to work in quick order, and we've established a lease for your consideration. This lease is consistent with other rental leases and concession leases we have at the terminal. Some specifics include that this will have an initial term beginning today and running through June 30th, 2020, with 2 optional 1-year successive renewal periods, and then an annual fee based on the square foot occupied in the terminal, and then also a concession fee of 10% of the gross revenue generated by the lessee. It should be noted that the previous tenant, Hertz Rent-A-Car, requested on April 4th, 2020, an abatement of lease fees in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the hit and impact on the transportation industry. The City Council approved a motion on April 21st, 2020 to abate monthly rent fees from March 2020 until the public health emergency is determined over, or when passenger employments return to 75% of the same month from the previous year, whichever would occur sooner. And then the motion also included that the concession fee would stay in place and the only abatement would be the terminal rent. Included in your packet is the employments year over year. You can see the percent change from 2019 through 2020. Should the City Council approve the lease and concession agreement with Priceless, it may also consider an abatement through a separate motion. So therefore, your options are before you to first approve the lease and concession agreement before you, and then consider or discuss the potential abatement similar to what was provided for the previous tenant. The footprint of the terminal lease is 131 square feet. The lease rate per square foot is $17.55. That generates $2,299 a year. And then on top of that would be the 10% for concessions. Included in this lease, it should be noted that these revenue concessions include those for car rentals, and then also for any ancillary services as well. If, for example, the lessee would like to do food and beverage at their counter at the same time. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the lease agreement between the City of Riverton and For a Ride Forward LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Schatz has the motion. Councilman Larson has the second. Discussion.
Your Honor, I will abstain from voting on this because I'm part owner of that company, so.
Any other discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
did we have another address? Did we have any other people come forward?
Your Honor, Councilman, since we received the notice on the 20th, we have not had anyone else come forward. This is something that I see as a proactive step to maintain service at the terminal and not have a void in ground transportation services.
So the other rental companies didn't smell blood in the water and didn't come rushing, and so we had a volunteer come forward. Wonderful.
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
I believe we also have additional space if there is somebody that wants to join us up there. So it's not like they wouldn't be able to put in a bid and do that. Okay? Any other thought? Ma'am? Ma'am? We got to get you, we need your name. If you could give us your name, and then also we need to have you speak into the mic so we can
Okay.
pick up.
Okay, my name's Karen Bramer. I was just listening to what he was saying, and I'm not quite sure if I heard that right, but did you say that the rent is not monthly, it's like $2,000 a year?
Yeah. It is monthly, but it's figured, it's only 133 square feet of space, and the going rate at the airport that's been established prior to is, Kyle, you have it closer than? It's $17.55 a square foot. So it's a fairly congested, small spot.
Okay.
Only 100,
So, what, about
it's about the size of,
$200 a month?
yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood?
Your Honor, that's $191.58 a month.
Say again?
$191.58 a month.
Okay. I'm trying to picture the square footage on it, but it seems they're cheap.
There's more space used in our parking lot, and there's a diagram on that. There's 2 spaces out there that in the parking lot that are gonna be used that appear to be 6 cars in the forward one and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 16 in the other. But our parking lot's free to park in.
So that wouldn't, whatever they're using up back there wouldn't count
Right.
towards that.
Your Honor,
Yes.
Seems like a hell of a deal, though.
and if I may help with a question, this is a 2-part fee structure. So the lease includes the square foot space, but then also a 10% concession. So every sale made by the lessee
As far
requires
as whatever car, let's say they rent 5 cars a day, you get 10% of that? Whatever that fee was, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so the business transacted in the space, there's a 10% concession fee. In previous fiscal years, that concession fee has generated $31,000, $33,000, $33,000, $26,000, and $37,000.
That's still a hell of a steal, though, to be honest with you. Because if you go to any kind of mall or whatever, or AFIS, for instance, and you get like a little table, they'll charge you 20% off the bat, right there. And that's plus the table fee and everything else, and that's by daily basis.
That's why Riverton's such a good place to live.
I'm not saying I don't like it here. It's just seems they're cheap. And then the part as far as, are you excusing the rent for the COVID months?
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
I'm just making sure that I actually understood the way, because I was really listening close, and I'm, according, with this part here, you really not quite sure what else you're talking about unless somebody actually gets into it. So anyways, why would we do that?
Well, we
I mean,
still-
I have to still pay my mortgage during COVID or no COVID. Everybody else has to pay their rent and everything else. Why would we do that?
well,
I mean,
There's
are we so gracious and spendable and stuff? I mean, we're raising stuff on one side to accumulate more money, but then we're throwing it away on the other hand. I mean, where's the logic in that?
there's a
Sorry.
there is a scale in our a spot in our usage that shows us where when March hit and when the COVID months came in,
Uh-huh.
and the usage dropped to 5% in April, 18% in May, 3% in June, and then it started back up in July to 73%. August is 103%. September is 115%, and October is 92%. So we will have to have that discussion to see if that's something that we want to do. But it looks like the last 3 months, we were awfully close to the yearly average. So I don't know what council will choose to do there, but the reason that was in for the other Hertz had that option.
Well, nobody really rents what Hertz, because Hertz is one of the most expensive there's out there, really. It wouldn't surprise me. I would never rent from them personally anymore. I've done before, and I would never do it again. But that's a whole nother ballgame. But here's what I'm saying, is if you're going to forgive rent, you're going to forgive rent a lot of these businesses, too, that were hurt to those. They wind up shutting down and not getting the kind of money they do. I mean, the bottom line is still a business.
Sure.
So, you know, why should they get privileges and say, okay, well, we'll squash the rent, but you just pay the other part? The deal is this and that. And you can't, with the, what'd you call it, concession part or the 10% thingy? Obviously, there's not much money into that, because if they're asking for the rent forgiveness, basically, they didn't have a lot of business, right? So it's hurting you on both sides then, because you don't get as much money from the 10% thing, nor are you going to get the rent. So why would you sit there and forgive them? Because that's the case, then you should do a lot of other landlords should start forgiving stuff. As far as they'll, or reduce the rent or something, a lot of the other do business.
Kyle, could you go back over those revenues?
Yes, Your Honor. So, speaking historically, for the 10% concession for the rent-a-car business at the terminal in fiscal year 16, the generated fee was $31,251. In the next fiscal year, which was fiscal year 17, $33,728. Fiscal year 19, $33,365. And that was 18. In fiscal year 19, $26,003. And then last fiscal year 20, we had $37,527.
So in 20, the city, now we're the city, we collected 37,000. And then we would have collected another $2,200 in rental space on that. And to be real frank with you, we really struggle at the airport. We can't keep the cafe open, and it's hard to get concessionaires to work there because we only have 2 flights a day, one out in the morning and one in the evening. And so they've got to come back early in the morning and late. And so this is a good share of money, $39,000 last year to the city to have Hertz Rent-A-Car, which you're not thrilled with. We were thrilled when we got them. It's not easy to keep a concessionaire up there in those hours. And so that's a good sum of money that the city would retain on that. So I would beg to differ with you. Historically, that's a lot of money that we're collecting from that service. And then the other thing that you got to remember is that when you fly into Riverton, if that service isn't there, it's difficult to have that full service airport where people fly in and want to get a car and go out to the gas plant. We need that full service.
Considering as many people that actually fly to Wyoming and fly to Riverton specific, that's a whole nother ballgame, isn't it?
Well, we would contemplated naming it Riverton International Regional Airport. So we get lots and lots of international.
Yeah, 'cause
support.
Riverton has so much to offer.
We're just really lucky to have what we got. So.
Well, we've already had the discussion about that. You know what I think about that part. So it just, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. I just wanted to make sure that I actually heard what he did here. And I guess it's just a sad story to say that basically what's going on, that you pretty much got to kiss their people's asses just to come here and be grateful for, you know, what they do give you. Basically, that's kind of what it appears to be. You can't, you know, like, you pretty much got to sit there and beg them, right?
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
We're down. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Public hearing for consideration of fireworks permit application, holiday festival, change of location. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Council previously approved this particular fireworks exhibition at the 11/3 meeting. Since that time, it's come to our attention that we are no longer allowed to use school district property for that for a number of reasons, but ultimately that group sought a different location. And what is proposed is to change that location to J.C. Park at the same time, same date, which is December 18th, 5:30 to 6:30. It does move it out of the middle of town a hair, but all other items stay the same. The item that you do have in your packet is a circled map of where it's going to be approximately, and we have also contacted the fire department. The fire chief has provided a letter concurring with the change in location, and we apologize we weren't able to get that to you in your packet, but we do have an email to that extent, and I have spoken with the fire chief. It wasn't going to be any issue. With that, Your Honor, we would, the reason that it is before you again is because council authorized a location and a time, and pursuant to law, we need to have you reauthorize it at a different location because it essentially amounts to a second one. Generally speaking, we would have the representative here. However, Mary wanted to be here, but she had some other family obligations that she needed to meet at the last second, and I told her that I would speak on behalf if we need that, and there are other people that have that knowledge as well. We're happy to provide any additional information. However, it is recommended that council approve as presented.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Councilwoman Schatz has a motion. Councilwoman Borders has a second. Is there any further discussion? Just so everybody is right on target, this location is between the Babe Ruth baseball field and the J.C. Park in the parking lot of that location.
Is that the red circle? That's what we're talking about? Oh, do we have any close residential
Well, the court,
overlays?
the court's the closest. Across the street is a school. So we do have residents that are just east of the baseball diamonds. So they would be the closest ones.
Your Honor, comparatively, I believe that compared to the previous location, this is spaced out from houses more than the previous one, because the other one would have been closer.
And it's open, there's not a bowl there, it's just as,
It's flat. It's actually rised.
we don't have a fire combustible something close by.
Well, with this snow, it's pretty hard to light snow.
We're wetting it all down in advance.
There's fire protection there. There's fire hydrants. And the baseball diamond's probably 10 feet lower in elevation than the park.
So this is a good place.
I think it is. That's what they're asking. You guys, if you think it is.
Your Honor,
Yes.
as a point of order, you have a motion and a second on the table to open the public hearing.
Oh, excuse me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sorry, thank you.
We're voting on the public hearing, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passed. I now declare the public hearing is open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state law and with other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and to identify themselves for the record.
Seeing none, Your Honor, I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilwoman Schatz has the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The chair would entertain a motion to accept the location change for the fireworks show on December 18th.
So
Now,
moved.
now we're to this point where we can talk about it. Do you have the motion? Harlan.
I'm the second.
Councilwoman Borders has the motion and Councilman Bailey has the second. Further discussion? Did we already get all the discussion everybody had?
The hours are still gonna be the same, 5:30 to
It's on the 18th of December, and I would think that it has to wait till dark, but I'm not exactly sure the time. Are you?
Was it,
Your Honor, the permit is for 5:30 to 6:30, and they'll probably won't go until it's good and dark.
Pretty dark.
Your Honor,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Pretty good in the dark.
keeping in mind that even though they're not doing it at the Tonkin Stadium, they'll still have the balloon as well as the ice skating, weather permitting. So there's still all the functions that were going to happen at the Tonkin Stadium will still happen except for the fireworks.
And you can see it from Tonkin, so if you wanted to skate, you can still probably see the fireworks from there. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. A public hearing to consider the ordinance number 20-010, first reading, Wind River Internet, WRI franchise agreement. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Council previously went over similar documents to what is being presented in Ordinance 20-010, previously with regard to contact communications and visionary communications. The item that you have before you today is almost verbatim the exact same document that Council approved for those two ordinances that grants a franchise agreement to the company denoted within the ordinance. In this case, it's Wind River Internet. Once we had finally done those last two and made sure that they were consistent, we had that reviewed by legal staff, and those modifications were made as denoted previously. We did reach out to Wind River Internet as one of the recent providers and asked them if they were interested in exactly the same thing. We had a conversation about being consistent, not only with law, but with our agreements, and trying to take that path as much as we could. So we reached out. They were appreciative of that and reviewed and provided both verbal and email statements that denoted they were on board with what exactly was written. The only item that is different between these documents, other than obviously the name, is with this document there is a waiver of sovereign immunity associated with the tribal entity, because Wind River Internet is a Northern Arapaho tribal industry, and that language is exactly the same and was taken directly from their previous franchise agreement that was executed, I want to say, almost 2 years ago. So it's nothing new, and it's nothing different than they had before. The terms are the same as what was presented before. There is a $2,500 initial fee, which will need to be paid upon signature, if approved, and then the 5% stays the same as was in the previous two. Your Honor, at this point, we believe we're moving towards a more consistent approach to these documents. It does allow additional review by council and staff after the 5-year term. A lot of the time, these are 10 and 15-year agreements, whereas after 5 years now, if council so chooses, we can move back and have that conversation again about what it should look like, make changes, or council can allow it to run on a yearly basis. That gives you a lot more, the renewal period is only on a year-to-year basis after that, as opposed to 5-year terms or the like. Highly preferable in terms of ongoing review. Your Honor, with that, we recommend approval of Ordinance 20-010 and would be happy to answer any questions.
Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 20-010 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 20-010 on first reading. An ordinance granting a non-exclusive franchise to Northern Arapaho Tribal Industries doing business as Wind River Internet, WRI, within the rights of way of the city of Riverton, Wyoming.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I now declare the public hearing is open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, with other applicable state laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium. Identify yourself for the records. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilman Rhoda has the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I now declare the public hearing closed. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 20-010 on first reading.
So moved. Second?
Councilman Hancock has the motion, and the second, Councilman Rhoda has. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Public hearing and consideration of ordinance number 20-011, first reading, Riverton Municipal Code update for Riverton Regional. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The ordinance before you really ties to the action taken on August 18th, 2020 through Resolution 1421 to change the name of Riverton Regional Airport to Central Wyoming Regional Airport. Basically, we have some out-of-date references that just need to be cleaned up and updated. Specifically, Riverton Regional Airport, Riverton Municipal Airport, and Riverton Airport. Each of these references will now say Central Wyoming Regional Airport. With that, there are really no budget impacts on this outside of the cost to do the recode, so the codification costs. And I will stand for any questions should the council have any.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 20-011 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 20-011 on first reading, an ordinance pertaining to all Riverton Regional Airport, Riverton Municipal Airport, and Riverton Airport references throughout the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Councilman Rhoda has the motion.
Second.
Oops.
Councilwoman Schatza has the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. I declare a public hearing open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes with other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record.
Seeing none, Your Honor, I would move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion, and Councilman Larson has the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. The public hearing is now closed. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 20-011 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion, and the second is Councilwoman Schatza. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Resolution number 1423, establish street closure fees. Public Works Director report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The City Council recently adopted ordinance number 20-008, updating Title 10 of the Municipal Code. As part of the update, new language was included to support the new permit application and make clear the city's expectation of individuals and organizations desiring to affect traffic and to close streets. As part of the update, it states the fee for such closure shall be set forth by the City Council and may be modified from time to time by resolution. Resolution 1423 falls in line with this recent code change. Currently, the City of Riverton implements a number of permits and fees for special events. These permits and fees allow individuals to restrict or impact public spaces intended for the use of the community at large for their own specific purpose. They also address a portion of municipal personnel and material costs required to support the permitted activity. These permits include a parks reservation fee. Currently, that fee is $30. Alcohol permit fees, which range from $25 to $50. A loudspeaker permit, which is a fee of $25, and a fireworks permit, which is $25 as well. Resolution 1423 establishes a fee of $50 for gatherings or events affecting public streets, alleyways, easements, or rights-of-way within the city. Similar to the parks reservation fee, excuse me, it covers a small portion of personnel and material costs related to the permitted activity. These include the review and approval of a traffic control plan, delivery and use of city barricades, and the potential use of emergency vehicles. It also enables the restriction of rights-of-way intended to support the quality of life and commercial activity for the community at large, again, for a specific purpose. 1423 also allows the city council to waive in part or in full the street closure fee when the gathering or event is considered a benefit to the community at large. By adopting this, there is a minimal budget impact. Basically, anytime there's a street closure, it would include the $50 fee on top of any other fees or permits requested by the entity. City Council may adopt Resolution 1423 as currently written, amend it and adopt it, or not adopt it in its entirety. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 1423.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Schatz has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. Further discussion. Kyle?
So if I close down the street, it's $50. If I'm catering, it's another $50. And if I'm having malt beverages, it's a third $50. Is that, am I right, or is that just one?
Your Honor, Mrs. Watson could probably answer the alcohol permit question better than I could.
Your Honor, as the event permit is written, it would be a closure for each application that they're requesting. So if they're wanting to shut the street down and cater their bar outside of the licensed building, then they would have a street closure fee and a catering permit fee and an open container permit fee.
And if we had a band and a
That's
loudspeaker?
right.
Okay, all right. My real thoughts are we covering our fractional costs to serve the public? That's all. We're not?
Your Honor, when we consider the staff time and the material, no, we are not covering our cost. It does cover a portion, but it does not cover the entire cost.
Okay, all right. But it's not excessive? Okay.
Tim?
And I think that makes sense. We're talking about when we're barricading streets, we've got the hourly wage for the folks that are going over there, putting up the barricade, spending the time going and getting the barricade, putting them in a truck that's going to have some small depreciation that's going to occur on that truck that's also going to be using fuel. Then they're going to go back and get the barricades back, and they're going to put them back in the shed where they are using up space that could otherwise be used. So you could even say there's a rental fee on top of that. So I think any time we're having to go out and put up barricades, $50 is a pretty good deal. Small amount.
I come from that from a little different perspective, and when the staff brought that to me, and that's why the clause is in there that says that the city council can amend that out. Lots of times, the activities that are happening on Main Street are all volunteer activities, and so when we have the festival the last time, there was a discussion on who's going to pay those fees. And by liquor, Kristen tells us that if you bring your bar outside your doors and put it on and dispense from outside your facility, then you have to pay that, and we can't waive that fee. That's just a reality. But if we have the merchants up and down Main Street trying to put on an activity to draw people, they really don't have an organization to assess that $50 at also. And so that's why I wanted that clause in there. If somebody's making money and wanting the street closed, if they're gonna have a dance and charge for it, most certainly they should have a fee to pay for that. But I thought it was important to get an avenue in there to make it so that if it is a true charity organization that wants to do that, we're not adding to their cost.
So if we're lighting the Christmas tree down there and we're blocking off and diverting
That's a good example, yeah.
who pays for that? Christmas elf?
Santa Claus.
That's why I'm trying to say, and we do have Santa Claus with us, but he could probably pay. But if we change that, and that's why I wanted that piece in there, that for those activities, if the council deemed that to be a proper, we would waive those fees. And we're really fortunate because the city employees, out of their own initiative, went out and put barricades on a trailer, and the trailer easily hooks on and pulls to the site, and this isn't without problem, because if you barricade off the Cedar Bar and Ralph's gets barricaded without their permission, then we have conflict. But at that time, those guys are charging for what they're doing. They should be charged for that service. And that would these would only apply, and Tony, you'd have to tell me, would those organizations have to come before the council and ask for those fees to be waived? Or can you do that administratively?
Your Honor, as it's currently written, it would come before council. Council would have to give that. If council wishes to provide staff that authority, then we could. But as it is currently written, it's to council, and council is the only ones that can. And part of that, one of the things that isn't pointed out, part of the reason why that does help is it helps with the planning in advance. So many times that we end up wanting to help, but it's the last second, and it's this. It helps to promote some of that forethought that says, okay, we can get you to council, and council can say, no. But if not, if we have to run and we have to pull people off of projects at the last minute because we want to close X, Y, or Z, then there is a cost to that. And that does apply, but we do want things to happen. So we did want to make sure that clause was in there, that if it's a community event, that we did have that opportunity.
Mike?
Your Honor, and Tony or Kyle, whoever would know, does the state highway department charge a fee when we do a closure permit?
No, Your Honor, no, they do not.
And
They used to require insurance, which was the cost, but they don't require a fee. But we do end up, part of what we do is that, so commonly we do the traffic control plan when they come to us. We do we help get the barricades, help with the planning in terms of how to divert, and so often do the coordination, including bringing them in and then sending it in for them.
Right, and I guess I was just making sure there is not a conflict with Main Street or Federal, for example, being state highways. We don't have a problem with us charging a fee to administer that. And I totally agree that, the man hours alone that we would put in, just putting barricades up and taking them back down, and you guys' time helping with the permits and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we're probably not getting paid $10 an hour for what we're doing, so I think the fee is appropriate, and I agree. If we can make a way to waive it for events that are, gonna help bring business to town or people to town and have good, fun things to do, I think it's great, so.
No, Your Honor, we're okay. We're thinking through something, sorry.
Anybody else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. 56, the 56 permit presentation, City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. We wanted to take just a quick moment and give you kind of a debrief on that particular program. We started this program going on almost 2 years ago at this point, and we just finished up at the end of and on 10/31 was our absolute last date that we could harvest any animals associated with the 56 permit. Our permit, we had to do a count leading up to it. We've had this conversation over and over, and we did give ultimately a number of updates. But we did, from 8/20 to 10/31, we did have the ability to harvest deer within the city limits of Riverton under the 56 permit. During that time period, we ultimately harvested 11 total deer. We had 9 of those were donated after CWD testing, while 2 of them tested positive for CWD and were disposed of appropriately. We had a total of almost 30 volunteers from the onset in one way, shape, or form, but ultimately we ended up having approximately four individuals that took animals, that accounted for the 11. And individuals were required to hunt in pairs and observe the rules that were provided, and they signed off on. We found in this program a number of challenges. We wanted to hit the challenges, some of the highlights, and kind of talk to you a little bit about what's next as we move forward. During that count, we asked for 50 deer to be harvested over a 9-month period. We were provided approximately a 2-month period to harvest 50 deer. Okay, so we got the total number, but not the time frame we were asking for. A large part of what we were trying to do when we developed the timeline that was proposed is knowing that we were going to have to develop rules, start getting volunteers, find land. There's a number of those items. So when it was turned around and we were given the 2-month period during hunting season, even though we had applied for outside of hunting season, we had to move a little quickly. And to everybody's credit, a lot of staff went into that review and that discussion on an ongoing basis. So with challenges, we found that the timeline for implementation was challenging. Just the process alone of developing it, about what we had to do, what we needed to do, who would do what. We also had a short amount of time to actually accomplish or work towards the goal that was presented within the permit. You have to recruit participants. One of the challenges that we have is that we originally thought we would begin at least using our law enforcement officers. But as we all know, our law enforcement officers are relatively busy, and I understate that a great deal. As such, we moved more towards volunteers, and we're very thankful for having them as part of that program. We did have a number of volunteers. We had some good interest and some very talented individuals who had a lot of knowledge that they brought and they applied. The other challenges that we had to do with land access. One of the things to remember with this program, this is an urban deer reduction program, which means your activity happens within an urban setting. So there's some challenges there. Finding land that is appropriate, that is relatively safe, that we can, and then that get deer on, trying to line those things up is not at all easy. And a lot of people did really good work on that. And we are appreciative of the landowners who helped us by allowing access to those properties. They were all very good to work with, and we appreciated it. Some of the other items that became challenges to overcome, the testing. We had to train people how to test, and if anybody's ever taken lymph nodes from a deer, it's not as easy as a lot of people would suggest. Once you get, I think a lot of people got really good at it really quick, and everybody who ultimately did it was successful. Nobody, to my knowledge, had any, at the end of the day, nobody said, well, you accidentally grabbed this instead of this and we can't test it. We have tests that came back on everything. We also had the potential the cost of hang time. Now, some of the individuals helped mitigate that by hanging on their property when it was cold enough, and we're appreciative of that too. But we also ended up paying a small amount for the hanging of those animals while we waited for that CWD test. And ultimately, we also had to develop a donation list, and that was probably one of the easier ones, but still had to be done, and we had to try to do that in an orderly fashion. Ultimately, there was a lot of work involved. Anybody who's ever shot an animal and had to dress it, and then had to take it to hang knows that that's when the work starts, is after the shot. So on 11 different occasions, individuals, sometimes with multiple animals, had to go through that process, and they were volunteers, and they were putting in that work. So that was challenging, but as we talk about the challenges that we faced, we also see they brought about some of the great highlights of the program and how we're moving forward. Our volunteers were great. We look forward to growing that pool and having that discussion more and more. We had some really talented individuals that were very knowledgeable and were appreciative. We donated 9 deer within this community, and they went to all numbers of groups. The thing I would point out first and foremost is that they were able to be donated not only on, as we say, on the hoof, but Habitat for Humanity donated the cost of processing for all the animals that we ended up taking. That, so it was a lot easier to have that donated and to go to people who could use it, and we're appreciative of that. That was very, very kind of them. Ultimately, while we had a short amount of time, it did allow us to work out the kinks of this program. So even if we are provided a shorter amount of time next year, we don't have to redevelop everything that we developed in the amount of time that we did. We can fine tune it between now and then, a little bit here and there, but ultimately, we had some good review. And we can continue to look at the locations, grow that location base. I would also point out, we're very appreciative of Game and Fish, specifically Mitch Renteria, who helped us do the training for the CWD testing. We're very thankful, like I said, for the individuals in the community that helped. And I would give special attention to our animal control officer, Shannon Sanderson. While we wrote this, did the count and everything, Shannon really made it a success. She chased down all the different steps that you had to do and made it look effortless, even though we all know it wasn't. She did an exceptional job, and she's one of the reasons this program is will be proposed again to you this next year, and will probably be even more of a success. Ultimately, when we started harvesting, we had less than a month. By the time we got everything in place, got people, found locations, got all the things signed, got people training, got people ready to go, we had less than a month. And in less than a month is what you see as the results here. To be honest, when we would have been happy if we got 3 or 4 based on the time period, and ultimately, we were more successful than that. So as to what's next, we are going to be debriefing with the Game and Fish after the first of the year. That's the time frame that they prefer. Right now, they have some other stuff going on right now, and we understand. With that, we will be preparing the next application for your consideration. We have to bring those back forward. They tend to like council to sign off on that every year. So you'll see that again this coming year. We will be probably asking for either additional time, modifications of time. That's a conversation that probably needs to happen. Doing it right in the middle of deer season is not necessarily ideal, but we'll have that conversation as best we can. And ultimately, we expect that while we asked for 50, we got 50. Now, even if you whittle that down to 39 with the 11, then we still have work to do based on the numbers that we already had. We did ask for council's information. What we found was it's almost like they knew where the city boundaries were at some point, and they love some of those fields that are just outside. And we did ask if we could extend the area because we know where they're coming from. And essentially, we were told no. Those areas are you can get a tag for those areas, so we did receive a hard no on that one. But it's one of the many questions that we continue to ask, and we continue to make this program better and better. I would say that based on the information that we got this year, we will probably propose it, for clarity, using volunteers again. I really do believe that while it was a good idea to try to bring staff in, and staff would have done a great job, they also have their own jobs to do on top of that. So we think it was, at this point, we do believe it was a very successful year based on what had to get done in the amount of time that was done. And again, we're appreciative of everybody involved. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have at this point, but we look forward to bringing you the next application in this coming year. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Council reports and council member roundtable. Kyle, could you start us off?
Sure. There hasn't been any meetings last one I attended was the garbage collection meeting, but I do have a question. Are we going to be pushing snow the same way we have in the past year to the center or to the sides, or what is our plans? It appears that the snow is upon us.
Your Honor, Councilman, yes, the snow is upon us. It's crazy, we get into December and it decides to snow finally. So we'll have a white Christmas. The plan for snow removal will follow the policy adopted by the council, I think that was 2 or 3 years ago, so it will be in the center for the majority of town. It will go to the sides on areas that don't have adjacent improvements, but it will be to the center as approved by the council.
Thank you. All I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilman Rhoda.
Mayor, I have nothing tonight. I'm sorry. Thank you.
You can report on what your sickness is like.
Yeah. Better not post that.
Thank you. Rebecca?
Yes, Your Honor, just a reminder about this weekend's Christmas tree lighting, the 3rd annual, there at Jason's Park, which is behind the depot. The city staff has been putting up the lights on the tree and making sure everything's good there. And then Western States Propane had built the tree topper this year. It's been one of my pet peeves the last 3 years or 2 years. We've had the measly little star, so this year we're going to have a nice big star, nice big bright star. So, and the fire department's going to be putting that up there. This Saturday it starts at 5:30, and then the lights should kick on at 6 p.m. It'll be real quick. It's supposed to be like 20 degrees warmer than it's been the past 2 years too. So that's a huge deal because it's, yes, it's been about -8, I think, the last couple of years. So, and then we're going to have some music there. Corey's got his DJ stuff. And so hopefully our equipment holds out for the hour or so that we're out there. And the JCs have volunteered to do cookies as well, and they'll be individually wrapped, for COVID precautions and that type of thing. So the depot will be serving up hot cocoa. So just if you can get your family out and about for a little bit, come out, check out the lights and the festivities, and then carry on with your rest of your holiday season. But other than that, Your Honor, that's all I have.
And that is, what's the date on that?
This Friday or the Saturday night, starting at 5:30.
If I could just check, are we allowing people to put their own ornaments? Are we encouraging to
We-
bring ornaments? again?
Yes, just like we did in the past. Sorry.
Do they have to bring a ladder or just down low?
They were just down low, but it was still awesome.
We didn't have to climb to get them down last year.
So that's the 5th.
It's this Saturday, the 5th.
We bring our own ladder? Can we put them up higher?
Sure. Just that we got to bring a ladder to take them down. So.
Shot.
There you go.
Your Honor, we'd be happy to let anybody use the bucket truck, but I can't guarantee we can get you down.
Only up, not
Got to belay out, huh? Councilman Bailey.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, I did get to attend the airport board meeting, and again, the airport's steaming right along. Our October boardings were a little bit down from 2019. Again, I think a little bit of it was COVID and that kind of stuff. So in September of 2019, we were at 663, and 2020 September was 761, so it was up almost 100. And in October, it was 753 against 693, so down about 60-something. So again, I think we're holding our own pretty well. So, I mean, it's exciting to see the airport being used, and we've got that big 50-passenger jet that's direct flight right from Denver from here, and so it works out really well. My wife and I were very happy that we could go out and visit our new grandson out in California. In between the time California got opened up a little and then closed back up a little, and so we got to go out there and enjoy that, and it was great to be able to fly right into Riverton, get in your car, and 5 minutes later be home in your own bed after being gone. So it's awesome, and the cost was no different than flying out of Casper. So, I mean, it really was basically the same. So that's really a nice feature for the airport. So, also, as I'm sure most people have read in the newspaper, that the school district is applying to the state for funds to tear down the old high school building around Tonkin Stadium. And so the Riverton Ambassador Group met with some other people in the community to talk about possible options of what we could possibly do with that site. And so there's some things being kicked around, and again, there's a huge amount of sentimental value in Riverton around Tonkin Stadium. A lot of us have been there for, it's been there for a long time. My father, in his high school FFA class, actually planted the grass on the football field on that stadium after it was built. So, been there a long time. A lot of people have played football and a lot of other things in that bowl. And so I'm hoping that we can find a way to at least salvage the bowl from the thing. Whether we can salvage the building or not, that's a whole nother question. And, we've got to figure out how we would do that if we could. And so the school district is trying to reduce the amount of square footage of building they have to maintain, and so that's part of that deal. So, again, I think it's something that we all need to think about and figure out ways that we can maybe use that space for some community activities, and we could then have fireworks there if we owned it ourselves or something. So, and then, of course, there's lots of stuff going on this month for the Christmas season. Like they've talked about, we're having the tree lighting starting the 5th, and there's other activities going on for the next few weeks. And so I would encourage everybody to look on the Chamber of Commerce site, and there's a Riverton Holiday Festival site, and the theme is sort of no place like home for the holidays. And so if you hashtag that after your comments, it goes onto that holiday site. And so there's a lot of neat things going on. They're doing a raffle, and there's stuff the bus with toys and all that kind of stuff. And then CES, again, they had canceled the Festival of Trees. They usually have a big banquet and have the trees and do auctions and all that kind of stuff. And so they're doing that online, basically. And so the trees are going to be put up this week. Everybody's supposed to have them up by the 5th. And those trees are going to be around in the different businesses in town. And so you can look on the Community Entry Services website, and they have where the trees are, and you can bid on them online. And again, go around and visit those different businesses and look at all those trees. So we're hoping to keep the holiday season and support, a really wonderful organization that does a lot of great things in our community. So, thank you.
Tim?
I guess the only thing I would bring up is I hate the names that every day has to have for this weekend. You've got Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, something Sunday, Cyber Monday.
Giving Tuesday.
And that's what I was going to bring up. Today is actually Giving Tuesday, which of all of them is probably the most important one in my opinion. I think it's a good time to be thinking about the needs of the different organizations that we have in the community, typically staffed by volunteers, people that aren't accepting any money for the work that they do that makes the community great. Recently had learned that Riverton, in terms of the percentage of the income, Wyoming is one of the top states in terms of the amount of income that people actually provide to nonprofits and that sort of thing, which I am quite proud of. I think that's awesome. But I would definitely encourage today to be thinking about organizations that are serving the community, that are doing it without pay, and that are in need. A lot of these organizations have things like Pause for Pearls that was canceled, Festivals of Trees that was canceled, the different typical planned activities that they have that provide the money, the funds that they need to be able to operate throughout the year. They're not happening. So being aware of those needs, for example, Eagles Hope Transitions just recently needed to have new water heaters. People donated. I think they've been able to purchase those at this point, which is great. Eagles Hope is another one that is one that definitely could use funds. Pause, as I said, because they haven't had their typical fundraising that they've been able to do. CES. CES typically would have the Dancing with the Stars that they would be putting on, that sort of thing. So being able to donate to them, I think, would also be important. Then, of course, there's been the pledge drive that they've been doing with the Riverton Medical District, which actually doesn't require any money yet. I mean, you're pledging money. But those are some things that I just was thinking of that are organizations in need within the community. And I just encourage you today, since it's Giving Tuesday, like I say, I don't like the names, but that one I can get behind. I think that would be a great thing to do, and would encourage you to look those up, find out more about them, find a way to donate and do that. I mean, even sometimes it's easy as, let's see, yesterday if you had ordered a pizza from Pizza Hut, I think it was 15% of the proceeds from that pizza would go to Eagles Hope, which I didn't have a pizza yesterday because I didn't realize it until after I'd eaten dinner and I wasn't going to have second. I don't need that much food. But anyway, that was it. Thanks.
Thank you. Carla?
Just to kind of go back to what Mike was talking about with CES, I just found out that they have 17 trees and 9 wreaths that are up for auction on the CES Facebook page. I don't think all of them are out yet. I think, as Mike said, they have until December 5th to get them all out. Some pretty neat ones as far as I've seen so far. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is Teton Athletic Club is doing a silent auction on their Facebook page. And I was just looking through some of this stuff, and it's pretty amazing. And all proceeds go to CES. So that's kind of where my soft spot is this time of year is CES. But as Tim said, there's a lot of different nonprofits that really need our help right now. And I encourage everyone just to check that out and see what they can do.
Thank you. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. One of the best parts about going towards the end is that everybody covers half the things you're going to say. The only items that I have to add, Your Honor, is that boards and committees, we are accepting those applications. If anybody is interested in volunteering, we are accepting those through the 17th. So we have a number of different boards. If anybody has questions about or are interested in it, they're welcome to give me a call. I know all council members know a fair amount about them, and we can direct them that way. But we would encourage the public to apply. We have some really great boards and some great people doing good things, so we appreciate that. Force is scheduled to meet, speaking of boards, on the 14th, which is a Monday. It's a little interesting at the beginning of this month. It feels like it should be next week, but it's actually on the 14th. We've already discussed the winter festivities, and we would encourage everyone to take part. Many thanks to our crews who decorated, put up items on the tree, decorated up and down Main Street. They do a nice job, and it really does look nice. Your Honor, with that, I have nothing else.
Thank you. The virus that is out there is still very much with us, and so I've been on 2 Fremont County emergency meetings about that. I missed 2, and I did call in. I got a question about county mandated mask order, and I did call Travis Becker, who is the chair of the county commissioners, and he said there is no mandate again for wearing masks in Fremont County, and he didn't anticipate that. And so there is some advertising out there of that nature, but that order has not been issued from the commissioners. I also was able to attend a meeting with the restaurant owners. Councilman Bailey was there, and we discussed what they might do. And you know, they're just for the conversation off the rostrum here. Those businesses are struggling to stay afloat, and they are doing everything that they can do. And they put a list out, and they're going to post that on their doors of all of the sanitation efforts that they're making. And they're going to try to do that in unity in all the restaurants across town. There's a bunch of closures You gotta kind of know where you're going because, and I think those closures are more driven by employees than anything else. And so, we would encourage you to support those owners, those businesses. Along with that, the bar owners were there, and so there was some conversations of what the state might do and if they were going to close down. And as far as I know, I have not been given any information. I also had an early morning meeting with Gary Michaud. He is the executive director for the Wind River Transit Authority, and they're doing getting ready and getting some routes looked at and trying to expand their service organization as they get as the virus goes away. And just as a sideline, as I was getting ready, I got a text that said that the vaccines were going to be distributed to the first responders and to long-term nursing cares. I think that's a good idea, and I wish that program well. And then I also was fortunate enough to be in the meeting with Councilman Bailey about the Riverton High School. And so what we're going to do there is Tony and myself are going to ask for a meeting with the school administrator, Joanne Flanagan, and see if we can't make some type of arrangements and see what we can do. And we understand that they have usage of that building for about 1.5 years still before they can look to put it into closure. And so we do have some time, and we'll do our very best to see if we can make some types of arrangements there. So if anybody has ideas of how that would work, if there's any big companies out there that want to be the sugar daddy and fund that, we'd be glad to take those applications. If ConocoPhillips is listening, we'd love to have their assistance. So there's lots of good things that we could do there, and we'll pursue those. And we need good information. So if people are out there with some ideas on how and what would work, we would like to hear it. I appreciate everybody's efforts. It's not an easy thing to do. So we don't need an exec. If there's no objections from the council, the meeting stands adjourned at 8:12.